This is Film Masters. On this episode, we're making a matte painting in Photoshop, and then in the next episode after this one, we're going to be animating it in After Effects. The end result should look like this.
Dr. Strange, you think you know how the world works?
This is a two-part tutorial. We're doing the digital matte painting first up in Photoshop, and then in the next tutorial, we'll be doing the animation in After Effects and giving some movement and depth of field to our digital matte painting. So let's get into it.
So first of all, I'm just going to talk about what a matte painting is, first of all, just from some of the comments that I've seen in the teaser for this tutorial. Now, when it comes to matte painting, I'm talking about the old world matte painting, like you would have seen in the original Star Wars movies. Star Wars, the original trilogy, did use a lot of matte paintings for a lot of their scenes. For example, this image over here, you can see is from Empire Strikes Back with the Millennium Falcon, and you've got all the actors here, and you'll notice that the background and the Millennium Falcon and the original matte painting actually looks like this. So what happens is they make a painting around the actual footage of what they've filmed. Now, they would have filmed this on a stage, obviously. They would have filmed all this as live action under here, as well as the characters. And then what happens is later on is a matte painting artist comes in and does a painting around the frame, and then they line them up together when they're putting the movie together. Now, we're going to be doing something very similar. So we're going to be using some of the old world stuff. However, because modern technology has changed a lot, matte paintings are no longer called matte paintings as such. Well, they are in the old world, but they're actually called digital matte paintings. So that's because everything's done in computer these days, generally in Photoshop. So we're going to be doing the Dr. Strange's bending reality effect, all in Photoshop. We're going to set up our image, which can obviously be used for a poster. So if you want to do up your own Dr. Strange poster effect and you want to use your own images, for example, sure, go ahead for it. As everything, whenever we do tutorials on this channel, one thing I want you guys to do, obviously I can supply the project files to you, and I do that a lot. So therefore you've got something to start working with and follow along with your tutorial. However, there's nothing stopping you from going out there and getting your own images and making up your own matte paintings. Now, one thing with making short films is when it comes to short films, which a lot of you guys do, I do see that, you know, you're very active in the short film community on YouTube, which is great, which is probably the reason why you guys are a film master with this channel. But learning the art of digital matte painting means that you're going to be able to extend some of your locations that you're filming in. So let's say, for example, you're filming in a city, but you're making a science fiction short film. And even though the city looks newish, you want to have something like extend one of the buildings or make some modern changes to some of the signage, then digital matte paintings is definitely something to get into. Now, we're going to be doing a lot of matte paintings coming up, especially next year. I want to start revisiting some of the old world effects, which Film Masters was originally put together for, so that we can start making our own matte paintings based on some of the original Star Wars stuff. So we're going to be doing some of that work. However, we're going to get into this Dr. Strange effect now, so I'll stop jabbering along and we'll get straight into this tutorial on how to bend reality in Dr. Strange's world. So first off, I'm in Photoshop, so let's go up to File, New, and I'm just going to call this Dr. Strange Matte. And I'm going to leave the size of it as, I'm going to make it 2000 width, and I'm going to make it 1550 as the height. Or I could just make it 2000 each way. So we'll do that. 2000 high as width and 2000 in height. Now, the reason I've done that is because it's going to give us a little bit more room when we're putting it into our high def videos. So we've got some more room to play around with our virtual world. Now I'm going to leave it, the resolution at 72. I'm going to leave the color mode as RGB, and we're going to leave it at 8-bit channel and select OK. So first of all, you'll notice that we have a white screen, and we're going to leave it white. That's fine. Next thing I'm going to do is going to go up to File and Open. So down below in the comments section is a download pack, and in that pack has a few of these images. So open them up and select them all. And the first thing you'll notice is they all import into their own projects. So what we're going to be doing is taking some of these images and going into our Dr. Strange matte. So we're going to have a look at some of these images. So first of all, you've got a sky in there. We've got an image of London. We've got the New York skyline. We've got some ocean. We've got ocean fall. Now we'll be using ocean fall in After Effects because we'll be using Photoshop to create the matte painting, and then we'll be going into After Effects to animate it and make it more live action. And we've also got a space element. So we'll be using all these elements together in Photoshop to make our digital matte painting. So let's begin. So let's select, using the Marquee tool, I'm going to select the whole image first of all, press Ctrl C to copy it, and I'm going to move straight to my Dr. Strange matte. I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste it, and then I'm going to press Ctrl and hold it down, press T, and we're going to go in there and resize the actual background. So I'm just going to scale it up a little bit so it fits in that workspace and move it across to an area that I'm happy with, and I'm happy with that, and select OK. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to Space Element now and use the Marquee tool once again, and I'm going to copy this. So Control C, or we can go up to Edit, Copy. Let's go back to the Dr. Strange matte and Control V to paste it, or you can obviously go up to Edit and Paste. Once we've done that, we're going to go to Control T. So I press Control T. However, you can go up to Edit, Transform and Scale, and that will bring up that feature. And then we're just going to arrange the element so that we're happy of where it's sitting. So I'm going to put it around there. And then we're going to go up to the layer. So we're going to go up to Next to Normal and open that up. And I'm going to drop that down to Screen so that we've got that nice space look effect that is composited over top of the background layer, which is the clouds. I'm going to call the layers different names now. Now, the reason we're doing this is because when we put it into After Effects, we want to be able to know what each layer is. So I'm going to call this one Clouds, and I'm going to call this one Space. Okay. Now that we've done that, we're going to go up to Modern Day London, and using the Marquee tool again, I'm going to select it and copy it and drop it in there. Control V. And Control T to adjust the size. I'm holding the Shift button down while I'm scaling it so it stays in perspective. And I'm just going to bring the size up a little bit and hit Enter when I'm happy with it. And I'm going to move it into position. Now just press V to bring up the Move tool. Now that's a key shortcut. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do some trimming of the actual image itself. But before we do that, we want to rotate the image. So making sure that the image is selected, I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform, and I'm going to go to Rotate. I'm just going to rotate that upside down and move it into position and then press OK. Now that we've done that, I'm just going to move it a little bit so I'm happy with it. Now we want to cut out some of the clouds of the original image. So I'm going to come up to the eraser tool now, and I'm going to right click on it and select the soft pressure on this tool here. And then I'm going to use the open and close brackets to adjust the size of the brush. So I'm just going to go in there first of all and just blend it in and bring it down a little bit and blend it in a little bit more. So what I want is to have something that looks like a haze sitting above the city, like I've got there. And once I've done that and I'm happy with it, I'm just going to come over here and going to double click where the layer name is and call this London. And then I'm going to press Control J to duplicate the layer. I'm going to come up to Edit, Transform, and Rotate. And I'm going to turn it on its side. So one thing you'll notice is we've got the large pier here in London, and we've also got it here on the duplicate. So I'm going to drag that so it's off screen. Scale it up a bit. So I'll just press enter, Control T to scale it up and bring it into the scene. Pressing Z now on my keyboard to zoom in. I'm going to come around these buildings now, and we're going to trim out some of the buildings so it blends in. So let's first of all get that tool, the eraser tool, and we'll have the original settings still on it, so we'll still have that feathered brush. So I'm going to get a little bit closer, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool. And I'm going to come through and I'm just going to trim out some of these buildings. And that's so the image blends better into the scene. I just press delete to delete it and press V on my keyboard to bring it back to the move tool again. Now, one thing you'll notice is this building here is now disappearing. So we're going to drag the London copy layer underneath so that it sits on top like so. Another thing I want to do, I'm going to select the top image, go back to the eraser tool, and I'm just going to blend it in like so. And let's have a look to see what we've created so far. So one thing you'll notice, we need to clean up down here. So let's do that. Let's go back to the eraser tool. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the New York skyline. So again, selecting the Marquee tool, selecting the whole image, Control C to copy it, and Control V to drop it into our matte. Now this is a good size image. I'm just going to drag it at the very top of our layers on the right hand side, so it's at the very top, and Control T to adjust the size of the layer. So I'm going to bring it into frame so it fits. Press enter to lock it in. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're going to be cutting out all the buildings in the image. So I'm going to zoom in first of all. So what we're going to do now is going to select the skyline. Now there is a quick tool to do that, and it's called the quick selection tool. Now this is it located up the top here. And I'm going to adjust the size of the brush the same as I do with any other brushes. So I'm just using the open and close brackets. And first of all, I'm just going to go in there and drag it over the city. And as you can see, it snaps to a lot of the image. However, there's some parts that it's missing and it will cut off. Now to fix that, all I do is I hold the Alt button on my keyboard and you'll see a little minus. So you got a plus and a minus in between the brush. So once I've got the minus, I can then go in there and correct it by simply going in there and painting it back into what we're selecting on the marquee. And I can adjust the size of the brush. And I can adjust the size of the brush, obviously, so I can get in there. Now, it doesn't matter if you miss some bits. We can go in there a little bit later on and fix them up. So we're going to correct the World Trade Center now, the new World Trade Center building. Now that we've selected this side, I'm just going to press delete and see what we've got. Then right click on the mouse and hit deselect the layer. And as you can see, it's done a pretty good job to get around those buildings. So we're going to do the other side, and then we'll go around the image and correct some of the bits and pieces that we've missed. So one thing I found, in order for the quick selection tool to work more accurately, just make some small little brush strokes like so, and it will snap to bits and pieces of the buildings. Obviously it's not 100% accurate, as you can see, but again, it's just about going in there and making finer adjustments. So this is a really quick way of selecting bits and pieces of an image. So I'm happy with what we've got there for our demonstration. Actually, there's a little bit over here. I'll just correct. And I'm press delete again. And I'm going to right click and hit deselect. And once I've done that, I'm going to go in here and just fix up some of the bits and pieces that we've missed. And I'm going to use that polygonal lasso tool again. So I'm just going to go around there and just go in. So one good thing about digital matte paintings is that when you have a digital matte painting, some artists will actually go as far as painting everything from scratch. However, other artists will use real life elements like we're using now. And then you'll have some other artists that will use both painting as well as real images in their matte paintings. At the end of the day, it's about trying to get the scene to look as real as possible. So if the real images work better, then use real images. So again, like I said at the beginning of the tutorial, when you're doing short films, it's definitely a good idea, especially if you've got a virtual world, to create some matte paintings and so forth for your scene. Now there's one bit that I've just noticed. If I just hide these layers here, you'll see that we've taken out one of the buildings up the very top here. So I'm going to just correct that really quickly by making a marquee around it. And then I'm going to come up here to the brush tool and I'm going to select the color over here, adjust the size of my brush and just paint in that corner. And then I'm going to go up and just going to deselect and then turn all my layers back on again. And zoom out. So as you can see, some of the marquee has left the top up here. So we're going to get rid of that now. So I'm going to select the eraser tool, right click, let's go to hard brush tip. And I'm just a matter of deleting that. And then we'll zoom in a little bit and just clean up around some of the tower here of the World Trade Center. Excellent. So there is our first part of our illusion. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a cut in the image and then we're going to bend it and then we're going to fill in some of that scene. So what we'll do is we'll zoom in a little bit and we're going to make a cut down this building here. So again, I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool and we're just going to go in here now and we're going to make a cut. And we'll bring it right down to here. And then across. And then all the way around. Now I'm holding the space bar so I can drag in to see where I'm going. And double click and it will snap together. And then I'm going to press Ctrl C so I can copy it. And then press delete to delete the image. And then press Ctrl V to paste it back in again. Now what I've done by doing that is it's made two separate layers, as you can see. So we've got one layer and the second layer. So let's move that top layer of New York first of all with the World Trade Center across. And we'll put into frame about here. Next thing I'm going to do is going to select the other layer that we cut up, press Ctrl T and rotate it. And then we're going to put that into position. So what I want to do, I want to line up the trees here and I'll use the arrows on my keyboard so I can move the image up and down until it's in the right position that I'm happy with. And then I'm going to press enter. And then we're going to make some other adjustments to the matte. So let's zoom back in again. There's a building that appears to be just floating by itself. So I'm just going to use that lasso tool again, make some cuts. And double click so that the marquee joins and press delete. And zoom back out again. And the next thing we want to do is we want to make it so this edge here appears as if the water has bent. So let's have a look at that. Now I'm going to select the top image because it's the top image that we'll be cutting away. Using the marquee tool again, I'm going to select the corner of the water. And we'll bring it to about here, to this corner here. And then we're going to go around and delete it, like so, and zoom back out. And as you can see, we've already got what appears to be an edge in our ocean, or I believe that's the Hudson River, so it's not an ocean, the river. And we've got that all ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to extend this river, and we're going to bring it forward towards the camera. Now that we've done the angle on our river, what we're going to do is going to select those two layers now, and we're going to merge them both together. So let's go up to layer, and we're going to go merge layers, and it's going to bring those two layers together as one layer, like so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this scene here. So we're going to grab up here the rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to select that, and I'm just going to come across and copy this location here. Now, as you can see, I haven't selected any of the boats because we don't want to duplicate the boats, but I have selected all the water on this angle. So I'm going to press Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it, and I'm just going to drag that along. I'm going to press Control V once more, and I'm going to drag that across as well, making sure that we've got a line coming through here, as you can see. And Control V again. Bring that across. And I'm going to keep on doing that until I've got the whole sequence across. So Control V again. Control V again. And as you can see, we've got what appears to be a depth in the ocean. Okay. So I'm going to keep on continuing this until I can get it all the way across. Like so, and I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to select all those layers that we've just done. So I've held the shift key down and selected all layers, and Control E will bring all those layers together. Okay, now I'm going to call this New York, and I'm going to select the New York layer, which is just the ocean, and I'm going to bring it across here. I'm going to select all the layers now, all the way down to the city, and Control E to bring all those layers together, like so. And as you can see, I can move it around now and contain what appears to be that depth in the river. Now we can probably extend it a little bit more, so let's do that. We'll bring it right across so we've got some more room to play with. And again, I'll just join those layers together, and we'll call this New York. Okay, so let's zoom out now and see what we've got. So as you can see, we've got a almost parallel universe, Dr.strange style in the matte painting. Now, what we need to do is make some adjustments now to this matte. First of all, I want to make it so that the river appears to be blended in a little bit more. And to do that, I'm going to go up to this tool here, and it's called the Dodge tool. I'm going to select the New York layer. Just bring it down a little bit. And I'm giving it so there's a bit of a sheen on the corner. And that gives it a little bit more of an element of depth. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the image so we're happy with it. I might bring the London down just a little bit. Like so, so it's almost touching. And now we're going to make some adjustments to this image. So I'm going to select the top layer. I'm going to come down here. So we're going to create a new filler adjustment layer now. And I'm going to select curves. And we're going to make some adjustments to the curves now. So first of all, let's bump up the curves a little bit. Make some adjustments. I'm going to come down to red. And we'll try blue as well. And what we're doing is we're going for the color look that we're going for. So let's say, for example, you're working on a short film and most of the color palette in your film is a nice purplish color, for example. Well, you can go with that. And I'll just make another adjustment. I'm going to go to the London, and I'm just going to make that sit a little bit better. It doesn't look like it's straight. Okay, so that's it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to save this file now that we've named all the layers, and I'm just going to delete actually the background because we won't be using that. And we're going to import into After Effects, and we're going to be making some animation to the matte. So we're going to have a digital matte painting that has a bit of movement to it so we can sell the shot. So let's go up to File, Save As, and save it wherever you'd like to call it. I'm going to call it Dr.strange Matte Fin for finish, and save. And I'm saving it as a PSD file. Now we're going to go straight over to After Effects and do the animation.
And that is how we do the digital matte painting in Adobe's Photoshop. In the next tutorial, we will be transferring a two-dimensional image into 3D space in Adobe's After Effects and animating it and giving some life to a 2D image. If you want to become a Filmmaster subby, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. You can like us on Facebook and or on Twitter. And until next time, don't just film it, master it.